You've probably seen him, a man in a black hat, suspenders, a beard with no mustache, pushing a cart through Walmart loaded with the plainest, most boring items in the store. Salt, vinegar, candles, string. It's easy to glance past a cart like that and think nothing of it. But every item in that cart costs under $7, and every one of them is a piece of a preservation and self-sufficiency toolkit that predates the power grid, the refrigerator, and the modern grocery supply chain. This isn't a secret. It's not hidden knowledge. It's just knowledge most of us were never taught, because none of these items make anyone very much money. Old Order Amish and other plain communities, Anabaptist groups descended largely from Swiss and German settlers who came to Pennsylvania in the 1700s, are well documented as living with minimal reliance on the public electrical grid, largely for religious and cultural reasons around separation from the wider world, not because they're bracing for collapse. But a side effect of that lifestyle is that these households have kept alive a set of low-tech preservation and household skills that most Americans quietly lost across the 20th century as electricity, refrigeration, and disposable consumer products became the default. Here are 9 of those items, what they actually do, where the practices genuinely come from, and importantly, where the popular version of this story oversells or misrepresents the risk. A plain container of iodized table salt costs a little over $1 at Walmart. Salt curing is one of the oldest meat preservation methods in human history, going back thousands of years, and it was standard practice among American and European households well before mechanical refrigeration became common in the early to mid-20th century. The basic principle: salt draws moisture out of meat and creates an environment hostile to spoilage bacteria. USDA and university extension guidance still publish dry cure ratios for home curing today, generally in the range of a set weight of curing salt per given weight of meat, combined with proper temperature and time control. Modern extension guidance also recommends curing salts containing sodium nitrite for products that will be stored for extended periods, because plain table salt alone does not reliably protect against botulism in all curing applications. This is a real skill, but it's not a just add salt shortcut. Improperly cured meat is a genuine food safety risk, and anyone trying dry curing for the first time should follow a current USDA or Extension Service protocol rather than guessing at ratios. A gallon of white vinegar costs a few dollars. It's genuinely one of the most versatile household products that exists. A mild acetic acid solution effective at cutting grease, dissolving mineral scale, and killing many common household bacteria and molds on contact, though it is not EPA registered as a disinfectant and shouldn't be treated as a replacement for disinfecting products in situations that call for one, like after handling raw meat. It's also a mainstay of home pickling, where vinegar's acidity is what makes quick pickles and many canned vegetables shelf-stable. Vinegar and honey folk remedies for sore throats are old and widespread, but there's no solid clinical evidence they cure anything. At best, they may temporarily soothe the throat the way any warm, mildly acidic drink might. Undiluted vinegar can also irritate skin and the esophagus, so it's worth being cautious with home remedies involving it, especially for children. A box of baking soda costs under $1 and is a legitimately effective, cheap multi-tool. It mildly abrades and deodorizes, used in cleaning and as a component of toothpaste. It's a base that can neutralize acidic odors, and critically, it's an effective way to smother a small grease fire because it releases carbon dioxide when heated, unlike water, which can cause hot oil to splatter dangerously. It's also a real leavening agent when combined with an acid, which is why it substitutes for baking powder in some recipes. It is not, however, a cure-all disinfectant or a substitute for actual medical care, and claims about it curing serious conditions circulate online without good evidence, worth treating skeptically. A box of plain paraffin candles is inexpensive and genuinely useful to have on hand for a power outage. But here's where the popular off-grid heating story gets dangerous. Burning multiple candles in a small, closed room to raise the temperature is a real fire risk, and if the room is truly sealed for warmth, can also allow carbon monoxide and other combustion byproducts to build up. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and fire safety authorities consistently warn against using open flames as a primary heat source in enclosed spaces. The genuinely useful, low-risk version of this advice is the concept, not the candles, behind it. During a power outage, closing off unused rooms and gathering the household into one smaller space does reduce the volume of air you need to keep warm with blankets, layered clothing, and body heat. Candles for light during an outage are fine with normal fire precautions, never left unattended, kept away from flammable material on a stable surface. Candles as a heating strategy are not something safety agencies recommend. A gallon of K1 kerosene is inexpensive, and used properly in an approved kerosene lamp or heater provides real light and heat. Kerosene lamps have a long, genuine history as a lighting source before rural electrification reached much of the country in the mid-20th century, and off-grid and Amish households that don't connect to the public electric grid do still use them. The safety caveat matters here more than almost anywhere else in this list. Kerosene heaters and lamps produce carbon monoxide, and the CPSC and fire departments specifically warn that they must be used only in well-ventilated spaces, never in bedrooms while sleeping, and only with equipment rated for indoor use. Carbon monoxide poisoning from unventilated heating during power outages is a real and recurring cause of death after storms, including after the February 2021 Texas winter storm, when carbon monoxide poisoning from unsafe emergency heating sources was among the identified causes of death. If you keep kerosene for emergencies, keep a carbon monoxide detector with battery backup as well. Standard wide-mouth canning lids are cheap, and it's true that the metal flat lids with a rubber sealing compound are single-use. The screw bands and glass jars are reusable, but the flat lid should be replaced each time to guarantee a safe seal. There was a well-documented genuine shortage of canning lids and jars during 2020, driven by a surge in home food preservation during the pandemic combined with supply chain disruption. Home canning is a real valuable skill, but low-acid foods, most vegetables, meats, require a pressure canner, not a boiling water bath, to reach a temperature high enough to destroy Clostridium botulinum spores, the organism responsible for botulism. The USDA's National Center for Home Food Preservation publishes current tested guidelines and is the right source to follow rather than improvised family recipes. Since canning mistakes are one of the few food preparation errors that can be fatal, a basic pressure canner and a stock of jars and lids is a genuinely worthwhile investment for a family that wants to preserve produce. A multi-bar pack of plain, unscented bar soap is inexpensive, and the shelf life comparison to liquid soap has real substance to it. True soap, as opposed to detergent-based liquid soap, which is chemically different, is quite stable, and stored in reasonably dry conditions can remain usable for years. Traditional lye and fat soap, made the way it was made for centuries before synthetic detergents became dominant in the mid-20th century, is genuinely long-lasting. The cost per use math also generally favors bar soap over liquid pump soap, since liquid formulations are mostly water and dispensing pumps waste product, though exact savings depend heavily on brand and usage habits, and specific dollar figures should be treated as rough estimates rather than fixed facts. Flour sack towels or any plain, reusable cotton cloth are cheap and genuinely reduce dependence on paper towels for most kitchen tasks: wiping, straining, covering dough, polishing. Cloth towels have an obvious cost advantage over paper towels over time, since a single cloth can be washed and reused hundreds of times where a paper towel is used once. The specific dollar savings will vary a lot by household, but the underlying logic, a durable, washable good beats a disposable one over the long run, is sound and well understood. Plain cotton twine is cheap and useful for the ordinary things: tying up plants, trussing food, hanging herbs. The idea of turning cotton string into an improvised candle wick by coating it in wax, then burning it in a dish of oil or rendered fat, reflects a real and very old lighting technology. Oil lamps with a fiber wick predate electric light by thousands of years and were common in households worldwide, including colonial and early American ones, before kerosene and later electricity replaced them. That said, an improvised wick in a can setup is still an open flame sitting in a shallow dish of flammable oil. It carries the same basic fire risks as a candle: tipping, unattended burning, proximity to curtains or paper, and shouldn't be treated as meaningfully safer just because it's homemade. If you want a backup light source, a properly designed oil lamp or a battery-powered LED lantern is a safer bet than an improvised open dish of burning oil. None of this is about believing a system is designed to keep you dependent, and none of it requires a dramatic story about hidden knowledge. It's simpler than that. A lot of low-tech, pre-electrical household skills, salt curing, vinegar cleaning, home canning, oil lighting, genuinely work, genuinely save money, and genuinely got pushed to the margins of everyday American life as electrification, refrigeration, and single-use consumer products became the norm across the 20th century. Communities that never fully adopted the grid-dependent disposable product model, including many Amish and Mennonite households, simply kept using them continuously instead of rediscovering them. If you want to actually build these skills, the two best places to start are your county's USDA Cooperative Extension Office. Most states have one, and many offer free classes and publications on home canning, food preservation, and basic household skills, and the USDA's National Center for Home Food Preservation website, which publishes tested, current, safe procedures. Skipping the marketing hype and going straight to the tested guidelines is the difference between a genuinely useful skill and a genuinely dangerous shortcut.